Hey, coming up, we have stories about organizing gifts at the office, child-free weddings, making your mom miss Christmas, what to do with gifts after cheating, when your husband chooses his ex over you, those are two separate things, threatening to get rid of the family pet, and awkward wedding karaoke. Do you really want to hurt me? I'm anxious to hear what awkward wedding karaoke is going to be like. It's going to be amazing. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for not contributing to staff gifts and calling out my colleague for taking full credit? So here's the deal. Every year since I, 29 female, started at this office job, there's one person, female 56, that arranges an annual staff Christmas gift where they ask everybody to contribute $30 total per person toward gifts for the 3 top executives. Oh, that's not the way I saw this going down. But yeah, okay, so they're pooling money to gift the bosses. Thanks. Got it. In the last 2 years that we've done this, the 3 people in management who have been given the gifts have come down to our office and thanked that one person, female 56, profusely for her generosity and how sweet she was to do this, etc. Last year, I asked her if she gave something from just her as well, and if that was why they had thanked only her. She said no, but since she was the one who handed the gift basket to them and wrote the card, there were only 3 others, including me, who built the actual baskets. She just insisted on doing the card, then they maybe misunderstood. Note that she always does this first thing in the morning and will take the basket from our office and go up by herself, regardless if people say they'd like to join, and just say she forgot they wanted to come with her. Okay. She wants all the credit. Well, I checked with one of the assistants because I am petty. The assistant told me that while the card said that it was from the staff, it did say name of the lady and the rest of the staff, and that the same thing happened the year before. At the time, I did not say anything and just made a note of it for this year. Now, here's where I may have been a bit of an astronaut. This year, this lady once again sent out an email asking everybody to contribute a minimum of $30 per person for these 3 people. One of the owners retired earlier in the year, but she felt he'd still really appreciate a gift. I answered the email and said, "Dear name, thank you for reaching out regarding this. I have given a lot of thought to this throughout the year and have decided to organize my own gift this year instead with a smaller amount, as it's been a tough year financially for me and many others. Perhaps you can edit last year's card to say love from her name and the rest of the staff except for my name. Thank you and happy holidays."
I love petty.
Let's just go ahead and do this right now. I lost my petty button momentarily, but I did find it. I found my petty button. You get the petty thunder for that one. I don't know. Like, I don't know if, hopefully, everybody else who read that email caught on to it quickly and was like, oh, that bitch did what? About 5 minutes after I sent this email, she came storming over and told me that I had no right to accuse her of taking credit for the gifts and not including everyone's name. I asked if it was untrue, that that's what her card said last year, to which she answered that's how she's always written the card. Yes, it's true. It's always been true. That's why I'm so angry. Apparently, she's currently scrambling because a lot of other staff members are choosing not to join her gift this year. And her friend, female 60, has told me that it was super petty and not very much in the spirit of Christmas for me to ruin the gift to management this year, while grumbling about how selfish I and the other younger staff members are who don't want to contribute to the gift. So Reddit, am I the asshole in this situation? Edit to add clarification that the minimum sum was $10 per gift, which is $30 in total for each staff member. Sorry if that was unclear. English is not my first language, as much as I feel like I'm fluent. Haha. Also, thank you to everybody who answered so far. I definitely did not realize this was not common practice, as I was told it was. Told by lady, I'm sure. I don't, like, you can kind of imagine, this is like a well-rounded persona, right? You can imagine very clearly what this person even like looks like, dresses like, talks like, treats people like. You just develop a very clear picture in your mind. And yeah, I was wrong here. This is an NTA. This is an NTA because it was shitty. And instead of finding it out the first time, here's what I really love about what OP did. Instead of finding it out for the first time and marching off of me and like that bish and immediately starting to just set everything on fire, she sat on the info. And she's like, okay, I'm going to log this away and see what happens next year. And if the same shit goes down, come what may. Same shit goes down. Mother hen at the office gets exposed. And of course, in true I just got exposed fashion, tries to cover her ass. With no ammo, though. That's the funny part. What? Okay, explain to me. I really want to talk to this lady and be like, okay, when you were stomping over to OP's office, all huffy and puffy and pissed off and ready to throw down, what exactly was going through your mind? Because it was all true. If it was all true, what exactly did you think you were going to stomp over there and say?
Don't assault me with the truth.
How dare you speak the truth? Angel, so we're saying Credit Hog may look and speak like Moira? No. Remember, that was the female 60-year-old friend of Credit Hog who is speaking like Moira. That she can, yes. Glorious corporate revenge. Bet Steph got a pizza party. She wanted all the credit, but to what end? That's my point. Like, if this is like the biggest thing this bizzo has going on this year, it's like she looks forward to this one thing all year. It's like this one thing fills up her cup and she feels appreciated and seen for the rest of the year. Or because it's a big enough deal, she actually uses it throughout the year to gain some kind of advantage with them. And her signing her name and the rest of the staff, my view on this is you better be contributing name-wise at least 50%. If you're going to single out your name and say this person and staff, that means this person contributed at least 50%, right? That makes sense. She wasn't. She was an equal percentage with everybody else. She just wanted all the credit for it. Bleh. Bleh. For mother hen Credit Hog, she gets a bizzo. Because I feel like it. That's the only thanks she gets. Thanks for being a bizzo. And then everybody else bailed out too. I love it. You know what the best part about this is? You know, and I know, she pulled all the funds together and bought the gift. How many years do you think she actually contributed? None. She maybe bought the card. She bought the card with everyone else's money.
Oh, yeah.
Told them it was more expensive than it actually was. The only thing she did was sign the card, purchase with other people's money, and walk her happy ass up to the boss's office and hand it over and take all the credit. She never contributed. Dolores Umbridge. Music will not be tolerated. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder once again, and I have a story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for refusing to pay for my daughter's wedding after she made it child-free and excluded my wife's kids? Throwaway because my daughter and extended family are Reddit users. I, 52 male, have a 25-year-old daughter, Emily, from my first marriage. Her mother and I divorced when she was 10, and I remarried when Emily was 15. My current wife, Sarah, has 2 kids from her previous marriage, Liam, 16 male, and Sophia, 14 female. While Emily never fully bonded with Sarah or her kids, we all made an effort to maintain a respectful relationship over the years. Emily is now engaged, and I was thrilled when she asked me to contribute financially to her wedding. I agreed to pay for a significant portion of the expenses, roughly 60%, because I wanted to support her. However, last week, Emily dropped the bombshell. She and her fiancé have decided to make the wedding child-free. At first, I didn't think much of it, but when I asked her to clarify whether Liam and Sophia would be invited, she said no because they're technically kids. It was 16 and 14, is that right? 16 and 14. I told her that seemed unfair since they're part of the family and are mature enough to attend. She shrugged it off and said, it's our wedding and we're sticking to the child-free rule. I then found out that Emily has invited her fiance's younger cousins, ages 12 and 14, because they're family. Well, shit. Now it's a problem. When I pointed out the hypocrisy, she got defensive and said it's different because she's closer to them. I told her that excluding my wife's kids feels like a slap in the face and makes it seem like she doesn't view them as family. She told me I was being dramatic and that it's her day so she can invite or not invite whoever she wants. Here's where things escalated. I told Emily that if she's excluding Liam and Sophia, I'm no longer comfortable funding the wedding. She flipped out, accused me of prioritizing my new family over her and trying to control her wedding. Now she's gotten her mom and some other family members involved, and they're all calling me an asshole for punishing her just because she doesn't want my stepkids at her wedding. Sarah is upset but understands my decision, while Liam and Sophia feel hurt and rejected. I feel like I'm stuck in an impossible situation. Me too, bruh. Me too. What? I don't even know what's right here. You know who I think probably does? The one, the only, the real reason you're here watching the stream tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the beautiful, magnificent, witty as hell, Candy Thunder.
Oh my God, it's Candy Thunder.
You're so sweet. Okay.
I'm just an asshole in like a sweet way.
Totally. So yes, it's her wedding. She gets to decide who comes to the wedding. Like that's her right. But also she doesn't get to decide who pays for her wedding. So if you're going to make decisions, like don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's kind of like that if you want your dad to pay for your wedding, 60% of it, that's a big chunk of your wedding. Why, like you're punishing your step siblings. Like none of it makes sense.
And in doing so, she has to understand that if she's punishing her step sibling, she's punishing her father.
Yep.
Which means that she's punishing a person who's paying 60% of her wedding. So
I mean, like, I just don't understand the point in doing it. Like, it's 2 kids, so it's very intentional.
Yeah.
If you're inviting a 12 and a 14-year-old who are from the groom's side, who you're closer with, and that's okay, but not your step siblings. If you want 60% of your wedding paid for, why would you around with this? It doesn't make any sense to me. And yeah, it's your wedding. You can invite whoever you want to invite, and you can remove anyone from the guest list that you don't want there, but that comes with consequences. So your actions equal this.
Just like he can decide to pay or not to pay because it's not an obligation. He was doing it to be kind.
Yep. You're entitled to whatever you want at your wedding. You're entitled to do whatever you want because it is your day. But not everyone has to follow with that. And I strongly believe that. If this was me, I would not pay for this wedding. It's very intentional. It's very purposely done.
Right.
I feel like she's being shitty and, I mean, FAFO, right? Like, and she's stuck there, so.
Okay, so if, excuse me, if she had not invited the 12 and 14-year-old
I could understand that.
kids on the other side, and it was like an actual no child, or an actual child-free wedding, and there wasn't the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Would it be, I guess it would still be his call whether or not he wanted to pay. Even if that were the case, but her entire argument fell apart as soon as she allowed those other kids who are the same age-ish to go.
And he's not punishing her. Like she's not being punished. I mean, I guess you can call it that, but she had an action and here's her consequence. Like, is that a punishment? I don't know, but you don't ride in on your high horse and say they're not coming and then invite other kids and then still expect 60% of your wedding to be paid for. I mean, that's just a shit move. Any way you slice it.
Angel dropped the $5 super and said it would be different if there was a toxic relationship and the teens had done something awful, but there's no reason here to exclude them. Thank you for the super. Yeah. I agree, and there might be something. You know what I mean? They OP's daughter might have been treated poorly by stepmom or had a toxic relationship with the step siblings. We don't know that part. And if there was a known issue there, because OP did say that they never really bonded, but they tried to maintain a respectful relationship. Right. Which means they weren't close, and OP's daughter might have some feelings about that, right? And we don't know that part. It'd be great to hear OP's daughter respond to this. That would be great to tell us if there was something like that there. But her entire argument just fell apart here as soon as she invited the other kids. That's where it became very clear she's an asshole for me.
Right. I think so too.
Where would you put her though? Bringing the scale up here.
I mean, I think it's ASCON 2 for me.
For
and
her?
Obviously, like, I think we're personally going to be more sympathetic to this type of situation, to the dad side, because of the blended family thing. And
it's complicated.
It's complicated and it's hard, but this just feels super shitty to me and super intentionally shitty.
Yeah, I know.
And you said there could be, there could have been bad blood there between the, stepmom, step siblings. There could also be that she was just shitty to them and never tried to bond with them, never tried to have a relationship with them. And I know that a lot of people think that you don't have to do that, and you don't. But I feel like not even trying to get to know someone is shitty, especially when they're now part of your family, even if it's just by marriage. I feel like not giving them a chance and not opening that door is shitty. And that is my opinion.
And from OP's standpoint here, well, first of all, in a blended family, we would never stand for any of our kids treating any of our kids shittily, regardless of what biological parentage they have. They're our kids, and we would never allow them to treat each other like that. And I don't think they would because of our environment with them.
Right.
But also from OP's standpoint here, funding something is supporting something, right?
Right.
It is supporting. So he can't on moral ground here support her singling them out, and she has to understand that. He's not going to fund her being a dick to his kids.
Right.
Her half siblings or her step siblings. I guess it's step siblings, not half. But
right.
He's not going to fund that, and you have to understand that.
Yeah, and we only get one side of the story. That's it.
Yep.
Unless we get lucky, which happens 5 times a year, do we get 2 sides of a story. We got to go with what we have. And he also says Sarah, his daughter, is upset, or no, Sarah's the wife, right? Emily is okay.
I'm still stuck on the we only get lucky 5 times a year comment.
We only get lucky with both sides of the story 5 times a year.
Thank you.
Everything. The stepkids were, I don't know that we get how old the daughter is, do we?
Yeah, daughter's 25, and she was 15. So it's been 10 years.
So they were 4 and 6.
It's been 10 years, yeah. They were young.
I don't know. I just, we didn't force our kids to have a relationship, but we forced our kids to be respectful to each other.
Yeah.
And I don't regret a single thing that we've done thus far in our blended fam. So.
Yeah. Hey there, it's Dusty with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for insisting my mom miss the big family Christmas to stay with me postpartum? My husband and I welcomed our first baby earlier this month. Long story short, things happened way earlier than any of us expected, and she was born preterm and landed in the neonatal ICU for a week. So her due date was the end of December, but she ended up unexpectedly being born early December. I was always expecting my mom to be there for me like a solid month of support once the baby was home. And she has been coming and helping in the few days so far we have had our daughter home. My mom also came regularly to the ICU to give me support with the baby. However, she, my dad, and my sister, who lives locally, i.e. my entire support system where I live, are all planning to leave the state for 4 days for Christmas. For context, every year, my side of the family goes to my other sisters for Christmas. She lives in a nice trendy neighborhood in the San Francisco area with her husband and 2 boys, my nephews, 5 and 7. Every year she pays for hotel rooms for us to stay. My other sisters, my mom and dad all love spending Christmas at this trendy neighborhood, having good food and seeing my nephews. To be honest, the whole thing lost its shine for me a while ago. A lot of the trendy shops and places of interest are closed Christmas Eve and Christmas, the bulk of when we're there usually. So we're mostly trapped in my sister's house with all the adults playing and entertaining the nephews until dinner time. It's hours of sitting around not doing a whole lot, but that's just my point of view of it. I know my other sisters and my parents enjoy it quite a bit. With my mom leaving with my dad and sister for Christmas like it is just any other year, despite the fact I have a newborn child, I've only had in my house for 4 days at this point. I can't help but feel like my support system, especially my mom, is abandoning me. My mom does not view it this way. She thinks my husband and I will learn enough about the ropes of parenthood by the time their trip rolls around that we won't need her. But for me, it isn't about whether we actually need her. It feels to me that when it's me versus my sister, she will pick her over me and I'm second priority. These are my feelings on the matter and I want to explain that to her. I feel if she leaves on this trip, that it means I will always be second priority to her no matter what. More context, I'm in the middle of 3 sisters and have serious middle child syndrome. Anyways, I guess my question is, I know the reason I want her to not go is purely emotional, and I know she really wants to go to see my nephews, who she can't see very often because they live so far away. Will I be the astronaut if I laid out my entire emotional reason for wanting her to stay and insist she stay, missing the family Christmas, and if she goes away, I'd feel like she has emotionally abandoned me and my daughter? Come on up, Tater. Come on up. Come on up. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Did you need help?
I don't even know where to start.
Yes.
You go first.
Yes, honey. Yes, you would be the asshole. A big asshole. I feel like, one, it's 4 days. Like, it's not a vacation. She's going to see family that lives not nearby. So I understand postpartum, and I understand that it's amplified when you go into preterm labor and you have your baby and she has to stay in the NICU.
Scary.
That's scary.
Terrifying.
That's hard. You're over the top emotional, and I understand all of that. And you would still be the asshole for doing this to your mom. This is a guilt trip. And as two middle children standing right here, you gotta let that go. Do not identify yourself as a middle child. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that you're being abandoned because you're a middle child. Like, I do not do this to your mom. And I feel like it's your first child. Like, you are scared and emotional, but one, you're there. Like, and your instincts are going to kick in. Like, you're going to not, like, your mom not allowing you to rely on her is really good for you to make those instincts kick in. And two, you have a husband there. Like, use him as your support. Like, he should be helping you in this time. And if I'm understanding this correctly, like, it's going to be Christmas time, so you should be able, like, hopefully your husband is off work and can provide the assistance that you need. But this is going to sound really harsh, but, like, did you not think about this before you had a baby? Like, that your mom may not be able to be there, like, for an entire month. I feel like that's a strong expectation.
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't communicate that to your mom or, like, work out something beforehand. But, needing someone for a full month after you have a baby, that puts a lot of pressure on that person. And you would be a huge asshole for doing this, in my opinion. Stacy asked why they couldn't go on the trip, and, like, with a
preemie baby.
Yeah,
I'm sure
she probably
that's
needs
really
to stay home
complicated.
and not travel with a preemie baby. And I wouldn't, because I wouldn't want my child to get sick.
Right.
But I think all of this stems from what you're calling middle child syndrome, and get rid of it. You're not, like, don't embody that. Don't make that your identity. You don't have to be, like, the stigma around the middle child is, I think, bullshit. Like, be who you are, be your own person. Don't let being the middle child define you. Like, I never really felt that.
Yeah, I don't feel like we make that part of our shtick.
No.
It's not our personality. It's not who, I don't think so, at least. I don't.
Maybe we're both just broken and we don't know.
I don't know.
Your mom is not abandoning you or choosing your sister over you. Like, this seems like a planned trip every year where she knows she gets to spend time with her other grandchildren. And I think she's trying not to neglect the other children, especially if she's been there, for the week that you've been home. But I think you need to learn how to fly, and you need to learn to do this on your own.
And yeah, we see so many comments about it's not even about taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
It's her needing her mommy, like, as emotional support, just knowing she's got her mom there.
Yeah.
Right. And the symbolic abandonment.
Right.
Where she feels like she would always be a lower priority. Why does it matter? What does it matter, number one? And number two, put yourself in your mom's shoes and try to think about all the relationships she's trying to balance, especially with kids who aren't local, that she doesn't get to see very often, like you said. And feel what you need to feel.
Right.
We've said several times, you can't be an asshole for feeling something.
Right.
It's what you do with those feelings that can make you an asshole or not. This is a time to self-reflect, and you've already written it down. Mm-hmm. And hopefully after writing it down, you had some time to go and read it back and try to see this with a little bit of separation, so you can self-reflect and audit where you're at and say, okay, no, this isn't fair. This isn't fair to do to my mom.
Right.
And if that doesn't do it for you, think about it this way. You have this child. What if you have a couple more?
That's exactly what I was going to
And
say.
in the future, imagine yourself in this situation where your kid is going to throw this mud at you and try to guilt you. And number 3, what happens if you spill all of this to your mom and she still goes?
Yeah, I think she's saying she's second priority middle child. Like, I think you've fallen into this trap of thinking that you're neglected, and which makes you need your mom more. Like, I think you need therapy to get over this thing that you've made your identity within your family, because you're going to start alienating your other sisters, and it's just not a good headspace to be in, especially postpartum, because it's a very, very slippery slope postpartum. And if your headspace is already here, you need to be in therapy now, and your doctor needs to know these big feelings that you're having, because it's a very slippery slope to postpartum depression. And I would say that this level of emotion that you're feeling is you're close. Like, I would get help if I was this person, because this is not a normal emotional response.
It's got to be, it's got to be amplified by the postpartum elements that are already there, right?
Yes.
But that can't make something appear from nowhere. There has to be a little bit of a seed for that to take and run with. Those. Yes. So I guess, OP, you also have to understand, because everything is heightened right now and it's going to keep going that direction, that even the painful part of this, where you do start therapy and you do start uncovering this stuff and you do start having to face who you are and really start to get to know yourself, is going to be that much more painful, right? However, choose your pain, because it's either going to be the pain of continuing to feel like you feel and you don't say anything to your mom, but you're going to harbor all these feelings and it's just going to strain your relationship and eventually break it down with all kinds of conflict. Or you're going to spill your guts to your mom. She's still going to go, and then you're going to have an immediate strain on the relationship, not just with your mom, but with the rest of the family as well. Or she stays, and then the strain with the rest of the family is even more present there. Or you start working on yourself. And although it would be a lot of pain up front, it is the equation here that nets the least amount of pain. Go through this pain now, so you don't have to go through it for the rest of your life.
I also feel like we get more context into her insecurities, being a middle child, feeling like she's second priority, by stating that she doesn't like the trip. She doesn't see the point in it. It's boring to her. She doesn't think her mom needs to be there. Like, I don't know. Those all seem very, like, the way she explains it seemed like it's like a very entitled feeling. I don't know. Like, I don't know how much of that is her, like, general entitlement, and how much of that is symbolic because it's her sister who she feels that has always received more attention than her. So she the jealousy is dripping from these comments. And these could all just be really, really bad intrusive thoughts, and really not the structure of your family. And entertaining these thoughts, especially postpartum, is so dangerous. Like, giving life to this kind of insecure feelings postpartum is I feel like, one, not talked about enough, and two, it just breeds depression, in my opinion. Because
it ultimately becomes a huge distraction for what should be happening during this time, which is bonding with your baby and caring for your baby. Yeah. And so much is formed in the early days where they have this physical security, right? There's so much that can be damaged during this time.
Feel very, very strongly about mental health and postpartum and the lack thereof, especially in the United States. Like, it's a tough topic, but that's for another day. Bye, guys.
Candy Thunder, once again, ladies and gentlemen. The question was, am I the astronaut for insisting? You would be. And insisting is the big thing there. And it's not just insisting, it's trying to use guilt to do it. What would you say she would be at here, Candy Thunder?
Yes, she's an asshole for thinking this. She asked if she would be, and you 100% would be. But it's so hard for me to put someone who's so clearly struggling, like, with mental health on the scale. But
I mean, she's got to go on.
You're a 2.
She would be. She definitely would be.
And if you do this, you're a 1. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, but...
Well, if she does this after having the opportunity to hear from outsiders, that would be a terrible thing. So if you know there's a better way and you choose not to use it, then you're an even bigger asshole, right? Hey, it's Dusty once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for selling my Taylor Swift tickets after my girlfriend cheated? A few months back, I-27 male won some money on stake and decided to surprise my girlfriend, 25 female, with Taylor Swift tickets for her Vancouver show. She's been a massive Swiftie since forever, and I knew this would mean the world to her. I spent around $800 for 2 really good seats. Last week, I discovered that she'd been secretly meeting up with her work friend for months. I found out because she accidentally left her Instagram DMs open on my laptop. She'd been using it to print something, and I saw weeks of flirty messages and plans to meet up. When I confronted her, she tried to deny it at first, but eventually admitted that they had kissed several times and had been having an emotional affair. Okay. First of all, if they've kissed several times, they're having more than an emotional affair, and they did more than kiss. I'm just saying. I was devastated. These tickets were meant to be a special experience for us, and I couldn't stomach the thought of taking her after this betrayal. Rather than let them go to waste, I decided to sell them. Given how insane the Taylor Swift ticket market is right now, I managed to sell them for $2,400, triple what I had paid. When she found out that I sold the tickets, she completely lost it. She's been blowing up my phone, calling me petty and cruel, saying that I ruined her dream and that the tickets were a gift, so they belonged to her. Her friends are also messaging me saying that I'm an awful person for using the tickets to hurt her. I feel like I had every right to sell the tickets that I bought with my own money, especially after what she did, but she's making me feel like I took things too far. Am I the astronaut? Before we get into any comments here, the scalping here, like, not a fan of that. Not a fan of selling tickets for a premium. However, if you had Taylor Swift tickets that you could no longer use, Candy Thunder would never allow it. Yeah, I mean, I understand what it is being on the other side of that, and it just sucks. It just sucks. But people are willing to pay it, obviously, and it's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. But no, OP, you had every right to sell the tickets. But it was supposed to be for the both of you. And she thought you were just going to give her both tickets after she cheated on you. And her friend group was like, oh, one of us was going to get to use the other ticket because she after that other guy and she wasn't going to take you now. They don't get a vote. She doesn't get a vote. You ruined her dream? No. Her hungry vajayjay ruined her dream. Woo. Just saying. She can't blame you. She can't blame you for her cheating on you, which had a consequence. Katie the Red with the $2 super said they're not yours until he gives them to you, hun. Yeah. Until he transfers them to you. Digitally, physically, somehow. They're all digital now. He would have to digitally transfer them to your user. And you would have to accept them. You would have to have ownership of them for them to be yours. Yeah, oh no, the consequences of my actions clutcheth pearls. Top comment here, NTA, it wasn't an emotional affair if they were kissing. It was an actual affair. If you still took her to a concert after she had an affair with someone else, that would be weird. You should move on and let her have a new relationship out in the open and let that person buy her Swiftie tickets. Additional comment, he should have offered to sell them to her new boyfriend for $3,200, LOL. I was just thinking, how funny would it be if who bought OP's tickets here ended up being AP? Ended up being the guy that she was having an emotional affair that happened to have kissing involved with. Also, I think we know this person. It's on her. This is 100% on her. There's no way that the entitlement on this one is just bonkers. And you know what? I'm going to give some audacity for that. This is not for OP. This is for OP's cheating ex. And you know what? As soon as she found out she was getting those Swiftie tickets, she was like, AP, this can't go on anymore. I have to start behaving myself. Too late. Damage has been done at that point. Also, her fault for letting her hungry vajayjay ruin her dreams for her. Also, her bizzo fault for leaving her cheating chat open on her boyfriend's laptop. How dumb you gotta be, right? And I'm sure the story that she spouted off to her friends is not the actual story, OP, right? Like them reaching out and being like, you're using the tickets to hurt her. Really? Really? That's the thing here? That's the thing. Okay, cool. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for leaving my husband at the airport after he took his ex's side over mine? I, 32 female, have been married to my husband, Mike, 34 male, for 4 years. He has a 7-year-old daughter, Emma, with his ex-wife, Laura, 36 female. For the most part, we've had a decent co-parenting situation, but Laura can be difficult. She's very controlling and seems to love reminding me that she's Emma's real mom whenever we disagree about something. Oh, she's one of those. Recently, Emma had a school recital that we all attended. Afterward, Laura mentioned she'd be traveling for work the following weekend, and Mike offered to take Emma for the extra time, which I was fine with, but then Laura joked, "You'd better bring her to the airport when I get back. You always forget the little things." Mike laughed and said, "Yeah, don't worry, I got it. Bring her to the airport when I get back." Okay, I guess we'll find out what that means. Fast forward to the day Laura was returning. Mike and I were supposed to pick her up from the airport with Emma. I was already annoyed because Mike had made me cancel plans I'd had that afternoon so I could come along, but I figured we'd make it quick. When Laura called to say her flight had landed, Mike asked me to sit in the back with Emma so Laura could sit up front. I don't know that that's a smart move, sir. It's certainly not a move that I would ever deploy. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. I was already fuming, but got in the back seat anyway because I didn't want to make a scene in front of Emma. But when Laura got in the car, she made a snide comment like, "It's nice to see chivalry isn't dead." That was my last straw. I told Mike to stop the car and said I'd take an Uber home because I wasn't about to play chauffeur to his ex-wife. Mike told me I was overreacting and that it was just a seat. I said, "It's not just a seat. It's the way you always prioritize her over me." He pulled over and I got out. I didn't say goodbye, didn't wave, didn't even look back. I Ubered home and didn't hear from him until hours later when he came back furious. He said I embarrassed him and that Laura was just being polite. He accused me of being insecure and making everything harder for Emma. I told him he's the one who makes everything harder by constantly putting his ex-wife's comfort ahead of mine. Now we're barely speaking, and Laura apparently told Emma some version of the story where I abandoned them at the airport because Emma asked me why I was so mad at mommy. What? I'm at my breaking point, but now I'm wondering if I was actually the asshole for making a scene. Comment, NTA, I don't know why she wouldn't want to sit in the back with her child, and I don't understand why your presence was required to go pick her up in the first place, or why her ex-husband is the one retrieving her. OP's response, thank you for saying that. It's exactly what I was thinking. I don't mind sitting with Emma. I love spending time with her, but it was the principle of the whole thing, why I was being asked to sit in the back to accommodate her. And honestly, I felt like a third wheel in a situation I didn't even need to be involved in. It's not like Laura is incapable of getting an Uber or arranging her own transportation. She's a grown woman. Plus, it felt weird that Mike insisted I come along only to then prioritize her comfort over mine. I can't wrap my brain around why he's bending over backwards for her when they've been divorced for years. It's like he's still trying to keep her happy, even at my expense. I would agree. This is not, unless there's some kind of cultural way to explain this away, this is not okay. What he did is not okay in this situation. First of all, like him picking her up it has to be purely for Emma's benefit, right? And his ex even made a comment to that effect, like it's some kind of ritual they have. And if it's some kind of ritual, then fine, whatever. But there was no reason OP had to get dragged along. It's like she was dragged along just to humiliate her, just so her husband could prove a point that he still loves his ex more than her. Like, what is she supposed to feel here? What is she supposed to take away from this? What in this situation makes ex-wife deserve the front seats more than your current wife, sir? What goes through your brain whenever you're making that decision? Because she just returned from a flight and she could use the extra leg room? Is that what you're thinking? I don't understand, but it's dumb. You should never, ever, ever do that. And then to get home all pissed off that she embarrassed you by calling you out for this? Embarrassed what? Embarrassed you in front of your ex? And her opinion matters so much, so what say you, Candy Thunder? If you would never be put in this situation.
Oh, I know.
Nobody puts candy in the back seat.
Mostly because I would get really car sick in the backseat.
True. However, like I just don't understand what the hell he's thinking here.
It's the part that was really weird to me in the story was that she said, you're going to bring Emma to the airport to pick me up, but yet felt the need to sit in the front seat because she even commented, chivalry, I can't say the word.
Try it again.
Chivalry is not dead.
You nailed it.
So why wouldn't, if you were taking the daughter with you to pick her up from the airport because she missed her daughter, why in the hell would she not want the back seat to be with her child? That was the part that was really confusing to me. Like it felt, it's that's a very weird situation. Like I wouldn't stick around. I would have got out of the car too. Like this is like, for him to ask you to move to the back seat, just that, like that line alone is like enough for me to hop out of the car rolling at 5 miles per hour in the airport, like pickup line.
I wish OP would have been like, you get in the back seat, bitch.
Right.
To her husband.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you want her to have the front seat so bad, go ahead.
Right.
You can sit right back there.
Yeah.
I wonder what he would have said if that were the case.
Obviously this isn't the first time because she talks about having issues with it. And why are you still there? And she's like, I canceled plans to go with him.
Because he insisted that she go along.
Why? Did he insist? Like, is this some kind of game between the ex-wife and the husband where they're like, their marriage wasn't spicy enough, so they're like, go out and do this, and then we'll, like, it just seems so weird. Like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around it, and I do not understand it.
Who was Jess's, like, the uber-rich dude who...
Right, Angel.
Whose ex was Uli, remember?
Oh,
Russell.
yeah, Russell.
This is like Russell and Uli. This is what this feels like. There's some kind of intense, like, heat passion still there. Yeah. And it's like you're just a placeholder, OP. You're just there to because they were so like toxic passionate that like they couldn't survive together, right? So it's like they still have a relationship, but you're just the placeholder there at home. It's weird. I don't think anybody would stand for this. I think every self-respecting person would.
Uli's all right. Just been a little weird.
Surrender. I don't know. It'd be bullshit to anybody.
Right.
And I can't imagine that he's going to find somebody who is willing to take this position in life where he just constantly humiliates them and makes them feel less than.
No, that's a shit life. That's a shit life for anyone to be involved in. You would never do that to me. I would never do that to you.
No, I can't imagine us ever doing that to each other, just in general.
No, and my ex has been in the car, and I wasn't like, hey, get in the back seat. Don't sit. You would be, that would hurt you so bad. And you were driving, like, and he was riding with us, but it wasn't like a weird thing.
And if there was a need, I would offer. I would be the first one to offer and be like, I'll hop in the back. That's fine.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Yeah. But it's like being ordered to move back there so somebody's ex can sit there. That's just
Carol said
bullshit.
She's the live-in nanny. Yes, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, is this some kind of sick, twisted, like game to them where they're like still doing it on the side? I don't know. It seems weird. And maybe she is the nanny because she says that she enjoys like the time and stuff that she spends with the kids. So
it feels like Emma's just being dragged along for what is still very much a toxic relationship.
And I can't understand like getting off a plane after not seeing my kids and wanting to sit in the front next to my husband. Yeah. Like I'd be in the back seat.
Ex-husband.
Yeah, ex-husband. I mean, I'm confused at this point, so I'm not sure. Seems like they're in a throuple. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on, but this is too much. It's too much.
You can't be in a throuple if one person didn't consent to being in a throuple. That just means
Tina,
she's getting cheated on. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for holding my husband to task when he threatened to get rid of the family pet? Longtime lurker, first time poster. Here's the rundown of the situation. My son and I were interested in getting a cat a year after our elderly cat passed away. My son has been battling depression, and the hope was that a cat would be a comfort to him. My husband hates taking care of pets, and we had a written agreement that I would not ask him to do any chores related to the cat. We have had the new cat for 3 months now. He is a real joy. And my son and I make sure to do all of the feeding, litter cleaning, nail clipping, etc. I am not to even ask my husband to turn on a light switch if the cat is on my lap, and I can't get up to do so myself. While I was at the office earlier this week, the cat knocked over a plant in the kitchen. My husband works from home, and it was at 9:45 a.m. He texted me a photo of the plant with dirt spilled over the counter and all over the kitchen floor. He did not text me any details about what he did next. I was in back-to-back meetings, so other than reacting to the text so he knew I saw it, I moved on. Okay, I'm red flagging hubby here right now, just for being a dick. Fast forward to 8 p.m. Husband picks me up from subway station after a work dinner I had attended. We come home and the plant mess is still all over the kitchen. I am tired and frankly frustrated that he didn't even at least let me know that he left it there and stepped over the dirt multiple times all day while making his lunch and dinner. So in the moment of frustration and fatigue, being unpleasantly surprised, I called him an asshole. And then I got the broom to clean up. At this point, my husband told me that he was going to return our cat to the adoption agency because I called him an asshole. Well, yes, that makes perfect sense, sir. He went so far as to look up where the cat shelter is located. I told him my reaction was half because I couldn't believe he left the mess, but half because he could have at least said to me via text, "Hey, I'm leaving this for you to clean up when you get home." I feel like his lack of communication was a big part of why I was so upset when I got home. Well, yeah. While we have the agreement, he also hates a dirty kitchen and so logically might have considered that I would not expect it to still be sitting there 10 odd hours later and at least give me a heads up that I might want to grab a broom when I get home. The contract we have does not say that he can return the cat at his leisure. I feel like his immediate leap to threatening to get rid of our family pet was out of line for the situation. He was looking up the cat shelter location as I was literally sweeping up the mess. He had never lifted a finger to clean it up. He was just hurt that I called him an asshole, but removing the cat because I called him a name in a moment of frustration seems like a drastic escalation. Am I the astronaut? No. We've got some top comments to go through here, but let me make very clear right now, no. And you know what? He was an asshole. And you know what else? The fact that you had to have a contract means that he was an asshole. You had to have a contract where he's like, I accept no responsibility for this member of our family. Wow. Cool, buddy. And even if you have those feelings up front and you're trying to make sure that other people accept responsibility, when something happens and no one is there to handle it, step up and handle it. Not doing so and leaving it there was just symbolic. It was just him being a dick. And then, because you called him an asshole, he's like, well, fine, I'm getting rid of the cat. Guess what, buddy? Getting rid of the cat doesn't make you not an asshole. It just makes you an asshole in a catless home. Comment 1. My father got rid of one of our cats without permission when I was younger. I'm now an adult and haven't spoken to him in years. Good people don't do things like that. Comment 2. NTA. Your partner is a real asshole for taking a kid's cat away because you lashed out. But frankly, if he's that vindictive, I'd be worried about him mistreating the cat when you're not around. The plant getting knocked over, that's something extra. He chose not to clean it up and stepped over it for 10 hours rather than take 5 minutes to sweep it up. Even though it wasn't his mess, if he'd done that, you would have thanked him for taking care of it as a favor to you. And because walking over a pile of dirt all day out of spite is insane, he's a jerk. He's worse than a jerk. He's a dick. He's a dick. Your hubby here, unfortunately, is an ASCON 1. It takes a real special kind of dick to step over this dirt pile 30, 40 times that day as he trekked around. The amount of effort and energy he spent not only just physically stepping over it, but thinking about this and about how, oh, boy, she's really going to get the message when she comes home and sees this shit. Yeah, message received. You're an asshole. That's the message. The whole world got the message, buddy. You're an asshole. This guy looks like, what a cat's ass looked like when they're walking away from you. Just straight up star pucker. That's what this guy, it's his face. He's an asshole. The contract is bullshit. This guy is bullshit. I don't know. But where do you go from here? That's the problem now. Like, you've got a family, you've got kids, right? You got a family. Where do you go? Like, is this irreparable damage because now you're seeing who this person really is? This is bigger than the cat. This is what I need you to understand, OP. This is bigger than the cat. Like, this would be okay, we're going to couples counseling now. You're not getting rid of the cat. I'm sorry, we're going to couples counseling or we're not going to be a couple. See how this works? And that's like, take the first step to try to save this thing and turn it around and at least get him to a point where he can self-reflect and see how big of a dick he's being all the time. And I can tell you from personal experience, as a professional asshole, when you're used to being an asshole for so long, he can't see it. He feels justified in this. He feels like he's doing the right thing, like he's teaching the rest of the family responsibility or some shit. He feels like he's doing the right thing. He needs to see from someone other than you, other than someone inside of your household, that this is not the right thing. This is, in fact, an extremely damaging thing to do to his entire family. It's not about the cat. This is about his inability to be counted on as a leader and as a father and as a husband. And I hope life doesn't get inconvenient for you or your kids anytime soon, because when it does, you won't be able to count on this asshole. Yeah, it's no longer like choose the bear, right? Now it's like you choose the cat or the dude. You choose the cat. That's an easy choice. Easy choice. You know what? Even having to clean out a litter box every day is still would be a whole lot less shit than dealing with this guy. You wouldn't put it past him to get rid of the cat one day. He's showing major red flags. Michelle says, yeah, I wouldn't either. And the problem is now you've called him an asshole and what? You've got to stroke his ego to convince him to not get rid of the cat while you're gone. Man, hopefully at some point he realizes, maybe he thinks that through and he's like, maybe he wants to. He really wants to wait till tomorrow when you're gone and get rid of the freaking cat while you're gone. But hopefully he takes the time to think through the ramifications of that and the kind of damage it would do to your relationship and the relationship with his family as a whole. Hopefully he takes the time to actually think this through. But he's got the memes. He's got the memes hardcore here. And I'm going to give him this. Giving him the brozo. He got the ask on one already. You're in TA, OP, and this is a shitty situation. So hopefully he gets his head out of his litter box. Pulls his shit together. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. Title of this one is Awkward Wedding Solo That No One Asked For. A couple of years ago, one of my best friends since middle school got married. We were fresh out of college and she's not into big flashy events, so they decided on a smaller, more intimate wedding that would be easy to keep their limited budget under control. For her wedding party, she chose her sister as maid of honor and then the groom's sister and I as bridesmaids. Planning the bachelorette party fell to me and the groom's sister because the maid of honor was still in high school. I went over to the sister's house one day and we planned everything out. It was a normal afternoon right up until I went to leave. She asked if I could stay a few more minutes so she could show me the wedding gift she got them. I said okay, and she disappeared from the room for a few minutes. When she came back, she had a karaoke machine with her. I assumed that was the gift because I knew the couple both liked to karaoke. But then she hit play and started singing at me. Not to, at. In her living room, with a microphone. I had literally only met her a few weeks before and I was completely stunned that this was even happening. When she was done, she asked me what I thought. I carefully said I was a little unsure what the gift was exactly. She said, I'm going to sing to them at the wedding during the speeches. I had to fight so hard to hold back my laughter and wipe the confusion off my face because, for one, she wasn't a good singer, and she was never asked to give a speech. I also knew my friend would simply hate it. So I told her while I thought it was a nice gesture, she probably should leave the speeches for those who were asked to keep the reception timeline on track. She seemed disappointed, but she agreed, and I thought that was the end of that crazy/horrible idea. Cut to the reception. The speeches are all done and the DJ is starting to announce dinner when the groom's sister stands up and says, "Wait! I have something to say." She then reached under the table and pulled out her karaoke machine. Nobody but me understood what was about to happen. I feel like we've got to do this because it just makes sense. Sister, do you really want to hurt me? She pushed play and went on to sing a 6-minute song. The The whole time she kept staring the bride and groom down aggressively in the eyes, and she sounded even worse than she did at her house. It was the cringiest thing I've ever witnessed at a wedding or anywhere else for that matter. When she was finally finished, the whole room was silent. After a few uncomfortable seconds, the DJ finally said, "Let's give it up for the groom's sister! Everybody's when you're supposed to clap." People clapped really awkwardly, but you could tell no one liked it or knew what to say. The groom's sister ended up bursting into tears and ran out of the room. Her mom got up and actually followed her. We didn't really see her for the rest of the night. I later found out that she was upset with every single person in that room because nobody appreciated her gift, and in her opinion, it was the best gift the couple had or would ever receive.
That's a bold statement. It's very bold. Very bold.
It's like Ross learning the bagpipes. My friend told me she would have been mad, but the whole awkwardness of it all just makes her laugh every time she thinks about it, and her sister-in-law, who she has never liked, was finally put in her place. Well, hell yeah for that. Hell yes for that. Finally getting put in her place. But look. If somebody is like, "Hey, I have something to show you," and then pulls out the microphone at the karaoke machine and gives you a private performance, and after that private performance, they're told maybe don't do that, they at least know there's a risk involved, right? She knew there was a risk involved, and she rolled them dice anyway, and she's like, YOLO. This is going to be the best gift they'll ever have. Ever. But to come out of that room, to come out of that room with awkward, what the hell was that? Sounded like two cats in a battle being injured by each other. Like, to have this really not well received performance, to storm out of that room where, let's say there's 100 people there, right? To say there's 100 people there, not one of them responded positively, to leave that room and be like, "I am upset with every single one of those people. They just don't understand what art is." Girly, at what point do you accept that you're not good? At what point? Like, you could be embarrassed, sure. But when you YOLO'd this thing, you knew there was a risk. When you did a private performance for a girl you met 3 weeks ago, and she was like, yeah, you knew there was a risk, but you YOLO'd it anyway. I'm so glad to hear that bride was not upset, and that she was like, actually, it worked out because she finally got put in her place. Like, hell yeah. Hooray for that. Oh my goodness. It is a gift that keeps on giving. It's a great memory now. Maybe she's a comedian, and we didn't know it. Maybe it was like intentionally cringe, because that was the best gift that could ever be given, is like this funny moment.
Right.
Plot twist, she's brilliant. Not at singing, but at like awkward comedy. Maybe. Hey, Katie, the red drop in the $5 super says, "I'm about as protective of microphones as Dusty is about cake. This is microphone abuse. I know it all starts with the artist, but a microphone suffered." The microphone after that is like, "I'm done, guys. I'm done." Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.